Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over my forecast for the week of the 17th of November through the 24th of November. So we are in mid-November and we are getting closer, which does mean we are starting to get into the colder months. This week will not be a record cold week by far, and it won't be a very wet week for many people across the east. But the good news is, this week we will be a little warmer for many people that did have those record cold highs. And much for the east, you're still not going to be really cold. You'll just be a little bit below average. But the thing is, after this week, we'll have another cool down. After a storm comes later this week, it'll reinforce that cold. So we're kind of in an in-between week this week with the cool air and everything like that. But we will have more cold air moving in later as we get into 2 weeks from now, getting into your week of when we have Thanksgiving. And we will also have a huge storm by the end of this week for many across the United States. So stay tuned for that. But we're going to go ahead and get into my weekly forecast. Temperature anomalies, precipitation anomalies as always. Key is in the bottom left corner. If you do enjoy, leave a like down below and subscribe. It would really be appreciated. And let's go ahead and get into it. So we're going to go ahead and start with the orange. So the orange means above average. So here's where we may be, we are going to be noticeably above average. We may not be too much above average, but you'll be noticeably above average. You could be anywhere from 3 to 8 degrees above average. So do definitely watch out if you are in these orange areas, above average temperatures. Nothing too outrageous, but maybe 3 to 8 degrees above average. As we do get into that yellow, that's where we do have slightly above average temperatures. So here we will be seeing anywhere from 1 to 3 degrees above average, so nothing too outrageous here, but definitely do watch out for maybe a few degrees, a few degrees more than usual, maybe not too noticeable for many of you, but just do watch out. You may be a little bit more above normal this week, but next week in some of these regions, especially the more east you go and north you go, we could definitely have some more reinforced cold air come in later, but that'll be 2 weeks from now, as I did say. But here, not too noticeable, but if you were to look at it at the end of the week, you could be 1 to 3 degrees above average, but nothing too noticeable. Now, as we do move into those white areas, that's where we're near normal. So here we're going to be pretty normal, nothing too out of the ordinary, normal temperatures. So, just what you usually do see this time of year what you ever do see this week. If we were to go look back at the averages for this week, you'll be somewhere around there, really close to that. So if we were to get into your lightest blue, that's where we'd have slightly below average temperatures. Here is where it'll be 1 to 3 degrees below average. Some of these areas, it's usually cold around this time of year, especially the Great Lakes, so you will still be pretty cold up there. But as you get into the southeast and the mid-Atlantic, we're not saying it's going to be extremely cold. We're just saying 1 to 3 degrees below average, maybe even 4 degrees, but 1 to 3, it's nothing too outrageous. 4 degrees isn't too much more either, but maybe 1 to 3 degrees below average. Florida, you're really not going to feel it. As you get into mid-Atlantic, you'll be in the 50s, so not to worry much about that. It'll just be around your 50s. Just, normal could be 60, and you're just 1 to 3 below that, so nothing too noticeable. But in the Great Lakes, it won't be noticeable off your average, but it'll still be cold because it's November, and it's usually colder up there in the Great Lakes at this time of year. Same up here in the Dakotas, parts of Montana, moving into Minnesota. A lot of these regions where it's already cold this time of year, it's not like it's going to be hot there, even if you are in the above average. It could just be a few degrees above average there. So that does not mean it's going to be hot. That just means that's, it could be above average, so a little bit more than usual is what that does mean. Now, of course, the blue, that'd be vice versa, a little bit below. So as we do move into that regular medium blue, that's where we do have below average temperatures. So once again, anywhere from 3 to 8 degrees below average here. A little bit more noticeable. We do have some snow coming with this nor'easter that's going to be going on your Monday, moving out your Tuesday night for many. So definitely do watch out for that if you are in those medium blues or darkest blues in this case, where we actually do have 3 to 8 degrees below average. That's pretty much just, that is in the interior northeast, where we could have a snowpack in for some people after this nor'easter does come in, and we will just have that cold air settled in from Canada for a little bit there. So this week could be pretty cold for you in the interior northeast, and much of the northeast. It will be somewhat below average in those regions. Now, as we do move into your precipitation forecast, this is a little bit more complicated, so this is where we really do need to look at the key. But if we were to go and start out with it, we're going to start with the red. That's where we'll have way below average precipitation. So here, we're going to be way below average with that precipitation. We won't be seeing too much there. It's going to be a lot below average, so it's going to be very noticeable. And we could see a drought starting to set up here, so definitely do watch out there if you're in those red regions. This is where you'll be way below what you usually do see. It'll be very, very noticeable. Now, as we do get into these oranges, that's where we have below average precipitation. Here's where it does start to get a little bit noticeable, but the more east you go into these regions, we will have a storm coming by the end of the week. So you will have a moisture by the end of the week, but in the around the beginning, middle of the week, we won't really have much. But once you get later on into the week, towards the end, we will have relief by a storm that will reinforce that cold air across much of the east. So in that orange, below average precipitation. As we do move into that yellow, that's where we have slightly below average. Nothing too much below what you usually do see, but a little bit below average. Now, as we do move into that lightest green, that is going to be that's going to go ahead and be your slightly above average. So here you're a little bit above average than usual. Nothing too out of the ordinary, but a little bit more than usual. As we do move into that green, or just your regular green, what you think of when you see green, just regular green. Not your light, not your dark, just green. Same with the blue over here. That's what it was like. But in those regular green areas, medium green, whatever you want to call it, that would be above average. So this is where it gets a little bit noticeable, but here we'll just have some above average, especially the southwest. You can see right here we do have remnants of a storm coming from the eastern Pacific, and it will bring some good moisture through here, and that is actually going to be what does bring the storm across many people for the United States later on in the week. But over here we'll have quite a bit of moisture coming from that remnant of a storm that was down in the eastern Pacific. So that is what we are looking at this week. If you did enjoy today's video, consider subscribing and leaving a like down below. Here's your temperature anomalies again. Look at the key at the bottom to figure out what you're going to see. And once again, here's the precipitation. I'm going to let you look at this a little longer because this was very complicated. Many different forecasts for many people. Very complicated week. But once again, the biggest area where it'll be really out of the ordinary will be the southwest, where we do have quite a bit of moisture coming up from the eastern Pacific from a remnants of a storm, and then across the northwest, where we do have extreme below average precipitation for many across western Oregon, western Washington, and very northwestern California. Way below average precipitation there. Everywhere else, nothing too crazy, but I mean, you're still at some kind of category, but many people in those whites are at the normal. So once again, if you did enjoy, consider subscribing and leaving a like down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day.